Thank you, Chrissy, and thank you to Stewie and Jax for putting on another great conference. The inevitable disclaimer, it's in the presentation which is available at the booth should you wish to read it. Straight into the company. First of all, it's run by geologists. There's 4 of us on that slide there, 3 on the board, and a consultant who actually put most of the package together and backed it in and stayed with the company to work on the project. So we run a very lean operation, no office, we all work from home, and all the money we raise goes into the ground. Got a reasonably open structure. We're very liquid, so for investors that want to look at us, we do trade rather a lot, so it's an easy out. So EV of around 13 odd million, so we've raised money at the beginning of this year, and we're putting it all in the ground. Projects, we're into rare earths. Lanthanein Resources, it's all about the rare earths, the neodymium and the praseodymium. Fundamentally, the key project really is our Gascoyne project in near Hastings in the Gascoyne, and also a ionic clay rare earth hosted project in South Australia, right next to Australian Rare Earths. We also have another project near Meekatharra called Mount Clare, and a kaolin project in the Yilgarn, which interestingly enough also has some rare earths in it. First Nations. We have a good working relationship with all our First Nations groups, and particularly the ones in the Gascoyne. The chap in that photo, Peter Salmon, his family speaks for the land that we're exploring on. If you don't have a working relationship with your First Nations group, you don't have a project, you don't have a social licence to operate. Peter and his family are very, very supportive of exploration in the area. We work very, very closely with him, as does Dean at Dreadnought. He speaks for their land as well. So we have a great working relationship with Peter Salmon's family and the Thinmar group. ESG, we're very, very conscious of our need for ESG in this modern world, and we have a great track record of our social, the S part of the ESG. We work very, very hard at the environmental side and the governance. That's why we have lawyers and accountants to look after that. And we have a roadmap which we regularly publish, courtesy of a group called Social Suite. So when you see our quarterlies, you see our progression on our ESG roadmap. This slide has been putting it up for a while now, but the global decarbonisation is all locked in, and minerals for an electric future. That's really what it's all about with rare earths. So what are rare earths? They're part of the lanthanide group of metals, which are in the periodic table, named after ancient Greek for lanthanide, hence our name. So the lanthanide group, and the key elements there really are the praseodymium and neodymium. The neodymium iron-boron magnets are the key to this whole thing, with the permanent magnets that go into EVs and into the wind turbines. So there's been a little bit of dip in the market early in the year when Elon Musk came out and said, I'm not going to use rare earths in my magnets in my car. Good luck, Elon. The efficiency of ferrite magnets is not that great, so he'll be back. I think he was trying to talk his talk his market on his inputs. So yeah, the market balance with rare earths is very much out of whack. China has dominated for decades, and Western governments and economies are desperately trying to get their own supply. So there is an imbalance going forward on the neodymium and the praseodymium. Which brings us to our Gascoyne project, picked up by Tom Langley, the chap in the photograph on the first slide. He picked up the ground when it wasn't fashionable for rare earths, but we were next door to Hastings. Now Hastings have the Yangibana project on which they're building a mine. They've recently decided to build only half their processing plant to start with because of cost blowouts, but they have got a working mine that is in construction. So they've got the pits planned, they've got the camp built, half the plant is under construction, and they'll be producing a rare earth concentrate in the next year or two. we picked up the ground on the back of rock chips that Tom Langley went out and grabbed on the ground, and so we moved on to realising that they were the same rocks that Hastings had. Now Hastings have got a reserve of 20 million tonnes at about 0.9% total rare earths. So the key thing here is the high percentage of neodymium and praseodymium in that total percentage of rare earths. It's worldwide, generally it's around 15%. In the Gascoyne it's 30, 40%, in some cases up to 50%. As I said, we picked up the project initially sampling ironstones, and if you look at some of the rock chips we picked up there, most rare earth projects around the world talk about their grades in parts per million. As you can see here, we're talking percentages. Total rare earth rock chip samples between 2 and 8%. I mean, that's just poking out of the ground. So obviously we were really excited about that, and planned drilling. That was last year. So we did first pass drilling last year after doing our heritage clearances, obviously. And we've just done recently done another round of drilling where we drilled about nearly 10,000 metres of RC and about 600 metres of diamond into the ground, and we're now anxiously awaiting those results coming. As you can see there, the ironstones really do poke out of the ground. So the first round of drilling was very, very encouraging. We came up with very, very similar numbers to what Hastings have with their pits, which are roughly about 2 kilometres away from where this particular part of the project is, what we call lines 12 and 13. We've done some infill drilling there and with this most recent program, which will lead us to be able to put together a resource estimate on that particular part of the project. Just for demonstration, the ironstone dikes that we're drilling, they're just fairly flat dipping and reasonably simple to drill, and hence the geometry is not that difficult to do an estimate for a resource. Coming down to the regional part of the project, we picked up this ground on the basis that it was on the Bald Hill lineament. We had Hastings next door to us. Dean and the Dreadnought people are on the other side of the Lions Fault. So it's a very hot area for rare earths. It's all based around intrusions that have come up along the Bald Hill lineament and shed off the ironstone hosted with the rare earths in them. So during the year we've done a lot of work with the geophysics, and we've developed a model whereby we think we have some of these carbonatite or ferrocarbonatite intrusions on our Lions EL to the southeast of where Hastings are. In addition to the geophysics, we did a lot of work with some high resolution spectral imagery, and we've picked out more and more ironstones on the EL, and so we've targeted a lot of those new ironstones with the most recent drilling program. But more importantly, it's outlined what we think are the potential for the ferrocarbonatites, which are the host to the rare earths in the project area. So taking that same slide, stripping away the layer of the geophysics, you can see the visuals there. You can see that the red lines are all the ironstones that we've picked up from the various the sensing and the ground checking. So we have, I guess, half a dozen potential targets for ferrocarbonatites on that area, and also the ironstone dikes that shed off them. As part of the work on those ferrocarbonatite targets, we've put a couple of EIS holes, which is the Department of Mines Exploration Incentive Scheme holes, into the rims of those what we think are ferrocarbonatites, and our geophysicist director Peter Swerjek has been very excited about the results, and we've got the results coming on those diamond holes in the next month or so. Hopefully it'll prove our theory that we have actually got the source rocks on our EL. We're doing additional clearances with our native title, our elders in the next week or so to clear up more ground so we can do more work. So just for a demonstration, the intrusions of the ferrocarbonatites are just a big intrusion that comes up through the crust, and you can see there where there's a horizontal line, which is where it's been weathered down to the current surface. And as I said, we've got a drill hole into the edge of those intrusions to find out whether there's rare earths that are still present in the original intrusion. So it's exciting times, and I know Dean's drilled some of his intrusions and had rare earths across the surface expression of the intrusion, plus on the edges. So we just need to know where the highest concentration of rare earths is in those intrusions. Moving on to Moradium, which is in South Australia. This is a ionic clay hosted rare earth project. We're right next door to Australian Rare Earths. They floated on a resource at a project called Coppermurra, 100 million tonne at about 800 parts per million, which is back to where we were saying about rare earths projects being in parts per million, but this is ionic clay hosted, and these are true ionic clays, which means they're very easy to extract the rare earths out of the clays. So as I said, we're right next door to Australian Rare Earths. We're exploring in the same areas that they are targeting, a thing called the Lox and Parilla sands. These are really shallow. We're talking like 20 metres deep, and they're flat lying. So we've done a roadside drilling program. This is all private, lots of private land areas, so only access we need to get is to the roadside verges. And as you can see there, we've in our first program, we did some air core holes along the roadside verges and came up with every hole was over 1,000 parts per million of neodymium and praseodymium, and in a couple of holes, well over 2,000. So very, very encouraging. All these results are from XRF. We're still waiting on the assays, so those results will flow in the next month or so. Yes, Chrissy. We also have the Coolya kaolin project, which is in the Yilgarn, which is a high quality kaolin sitting on top of an old granite in the area. And like Andrew was talking in the goldfields there and the wheat belt, there's a lot of rare earths, and we found rare earths with our kaolin as well. Mount Clare is an area not far from Meekatharra, targeting rare earths there, but we also have some LCT pegmatites which we need to check out for lithium. We are planning drilling there in the next quarter. So really the opportunity and the investment thesis for Lanthanein, it's rare earths, and we have hard rock rare earths in the Gascoyne, and we're right next door to a plant that's being built. Our near neighbours are also developing very large resources, being Dreadnought. So it's a hot area for rare earths in the Gascoyne. Same rocks, same mineralogy as Hastings, so we know it can be processed. Moradium, the ionic clay hosted rare earths, as I said, once again, right next door to Australian Rare Earths. They are developing their project as well, and we believe we're in the same area. So as I mentioned earlier, we're a very liquid stock. We're not that expensive, and it's a very, very highly leveraged play on the rare earths future. Thank you.